Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. 30 years ago, BMW initiated its M division to support its racing program. A lot of those cars were modified and did make it to roads for enthusiasts. Now, 30 years down the line, BMW has a new flagship M series. It's called the Gran Coupe. Shumi got his hands on it in Germany. Take a look.
All the three German car manufacturers have their own tuning houses. Brands which are hallowed, revered, and whose products are the subject of much anticipation and aspiration. BMW's M line of cars is one of those brands, and now it is getting a new car that is to be its flagship performer. As befits a flag bearer, it has to look great and perform even better. And I suspect that the new BMW M6 Gran Coupe will be more than up to this task.
In 1984, the M division of BMW was born out of a simple problem. The boss had a 7, the bodyguards had a 5, and they couldn't keep up with the boss. Today, 30 years later, I'm here in Germany and I'm going to drive this, the new flagship of the BMW M Group, the M6 Gran Coupe. It's going to be launched in India in the first week of April. And let's find out what the flagship of M feels like. One of the things I find particularly amazing about the M6 and the new M5 is that this 4.4 litre V8 now makes 575 PS with the competition package which this car has. And yet on a road like this where the speed limit is pretty low, it's not a problem. It drives just like a normal car. There's no anger, no restlessness. It's not like the car is sort of saying that why did you buy a 575 PS car if you're only going to do 50? But you floor it and this is what happens. The other thing that's amazing about this generation of the car is that we tried the adaptive suspension on the M5 back at home, and this is particularly nice in comfort mode here. It's not rock hard, it's not bouncing around all the time. Of course, you think this is Germany, so the roads are fantastic, which is why it's not doing it. But just switch this to comfort mode and it starts to bump and pitch, and then you can see that this road is not as smooth as it looks. But come to a corner, it's absolutely flat. You go, you commit, you turn in, there's no body roll, it's absolutely planted, and it goes so quickly through this process that you hope there isn't a policeman on the other side waiting to catch you out.
We're driving on a mountain road. It's extremely cold, about 5.5 degrees, and there's hardly any grip. And the traction control system's light is always on. But this is such an impressive car to drive in these conditions. It does not have 4-wheel drive, but everything in this car works so hard to find as much traction as possible so that you can go forward as fast as possible. The bigger problem perhaps is that the speed limit is really low and it gets really difficult to stay below 80 kilometers an hour. But as soon as you go into a corner, turn the steering wheel, you realize what a lovely car this is, how much feeling you get from it and how in that situation you are. I think that's the mark of a great sports car, and that's what makes the M6 Gran Coupe quite special to drive.
So let's talk about the interior. There's a lot of work that's been done here, but it is still an intensely familiar interior. So if you were to have other BMWs in your garage, everything is where you will expect it to be. On the other hand, it does have a lot of special bits. For example, this is an M Sport steering wheel with a lot of nice detail. For example, the stitching on the inside of this leather-wrapped wheel is in the M colors. It also has the 2 new M buttons which give you 2 settings that you can make the car remember, and that's everything. That's gear shift settings, engine map settings, suspension settings. So you could have one setting for your mother-in-law and one setting when you're out with your better half. And it's a touch of a button and the car completely switches into a completely different beast, and that I think is an amazing thing. On the other hand, lots of nice leather, lots of nice detail. It is a special interior, but not spectacularly different from the old BMW. Now that's a plus or a minus depending on how you want to look at it.
The thing that separates the M6 from the M5 by the biggest margin, I think, is that this is a coupe, which means it gets +2 seats. So if you're driving alone with just person, it's great, but if you're going to carry 3 or 4 people, the people at the back have relatively less space than the M5, which of course is a full-size 5 Series sedan in size. So the question really is, how often do you have 4 people in your car? Is it all the time? Is it all that much? And if it's not really a concern, then the M6 is probably more stylish and more, as strange as that sounds, driver-oriented than the M5. And that really is the decision-making factor when choosing between these two cars. It's all about what's really going on at the back.
So that is the new BMW M6 Gran Coupe. Now the question is, given the fact that it has the same performance as an M5, should you be buying this or the M5? Well, the answer to that is really simple. The M6 is the much better looking car. It is the M series flagship and it will be slightly more expensive when it starts sales early in April. You will pay a little bit over £1 crore, I think, plus options for this car. Should you buy this? Well, the answer is, if you can afford a car like an M5 and regularly find yourself with 4 people in the car, then the M5 is the only option you've got. But if it's usually you and your better half, or basically 2 people, you want exclusivity, you want style, you want something that looks as good as that does, and you want a car that goes this fast, but in comfort mode, is not trying to shake your fillings out, there's only one option, and that's this one.